Jerusalem, the holy city. Nowhere on earth has inspired such love, hatred, and passion. For thousands of years, people have come here to meet with their God. Jerusalem, they believe, is a gateway to heaven. Here, they're as close as they can physically be to the divine. But although they worship the same God, they do so in different ways. One God has inspired three great religions. All three love Jerusalem, but all three have claimed it as their own. The city has been conquered, destroyed, and rebuilt over 20 times in 30 centuries. In the Middle Ages, there were maps which placed Jerusalem at the center of the known world. And in some ways, the world has not changed. No city has a greater concentration of journalists. A stone is thrown here, a shot is fired, and the news reverberates around the globe. This dusty Middle Eastern town can still capture the imagination like nowhere else. This is the story of people past and present who have tried to make sense of this town, to understand its power, to live with its holiness. Dawn in the Judean hills, in the eastern Mediterranean. Here, more than 5,000 years ago, with the first breath of civilization, men discovered a mountain. And for reasons that cannot be explained, they knew that this mountain was a link to the divine. It was holy. We do not know what gods were first worshipped here. It may have been Shalem or Baal, but a city slowly grew around this place. And then 1,000 years later, a warrior king came and took this city from the Jebusites, and he made it his capital. Only a few ancient walls now remain. And he brought with him a new god. This was to be the only God, and his name was Yahweh. The warrior king was David, who had made the 12 tribes of the Jews into one. And his God had no form or physical shape. The only evidence of his presence was an ark. The Ark of the Covenant. David brought the ark to his city, and his son Solomon the Wise placed it on the mountain. And he built a great temple around it. This was now the home of God. 3,000 years later, that holy mountain lies hidden under a great platform made of stone, the Temple Mount. No temple remains, but Jews from all over the world still gather at the remnant of the ancient wall which supported it. God's presence is believed to have escaped the temple's destruction and to live on in this place. For Baruch Kaplan, these stones lie at the very center of his faith.
For me personally, I can touch my relationship with God to the extent that I can touch these stones, because these stones have been standing here listening to the prayers of mankind, most particularly Jews, for thousands of years.
Packed between the stones of the wall are countless messages and prayers. The city has appointed a special mailman to deal with the thousands of letters that arrive each week in Jerusalem, addressed to God.
People from all over the world write to us in about 90 languages. Usually people have different questions to God and they ask for help. What I do is to take those wishes, those letters, to the Wailing Wall.
Directly above the western wall stands a magnificent Islamic shrine. The Dome of the Rock was completed in the year 691, when Jerusalem was ruled by the Muslims. Within its walls can still be found the bare pinnacle of the mountain. Central to the faith of Muslims and Jews, it is believed that here, on this rock, Abraham offered his son as a sacrifice to God. This shrine was built in his honor. The Jews call this rock Evan Hestia, the stone of foundation. They believed that this is the point from which the world was created, and that it lay at the very heart of their temple. This rock also lies at the heart of the Islamic faith, where it is known as El Sakra. According to the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad was brought here one night on a winged horse. He climbed onto the rock and ascended to heaven, where he conversed with the 10 great prophets of Islam and Allah himself. He then returned to earth, remounted his horse, and flew back to Mecca, all before daybreak.
This is a miracle. This is a miracle. This is for me something over logic.
Shireen Al-Araj is a devout Muslim born in Jerusalem. She has been coming to the Dome of the Rock since childhood.
I like the feeling that everybody's coming here, like all the Muslims from all over. We have the same feeling, we share the same thing. I mean, everybody's praying, everybody's thinking, everybody's charging himself, everybody's cheering up. If you go around, you'll find a lot of people crying. You will find a lot of people feeling this spiritual place, and this is the place where nobody can get them out.
"400 yards away, the bells ring out at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the center of the third faith of Abraham, Christianity. Within this building's walls lies another holy rock, the Rock of Golgotha, upon which it is believed Christ was crucified, and the Holy Sepulchre, the site of his tomb. This church was built in 1149, but legend has it that the holy sites had been picked out more than 800 years earlier by the Roman Empress Helena. Her son Constantine had been the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity. In 312 AD, as he led his army into battle, he had a divine vision. After his victory, he declared that Christianity was now an official faith of the empire. The world would never be the same. His mother is also believed to have had miraculous visions. When Constantine brought her to Jerusalem, Helena pointed out the tomb, the rock, and the true cross itself, hidden inside a nearby cistern. As the day begins, the faithful gather at the Unction Stone, where they believe Christ was washed and prepared for burial. Bishop Nikephoros is a Greek Orthodox clergyman. He has served in Jerusalem for 30 years.
By seeing these places, touching them, we strengthen our faith. With our imagination, we can feel the emotions and the feelings of the people that came before us.
Jerusalem is also a real earthly city. Around its core sprawl shopping centers, modern suburbs, and bypasses. But it is the ancient walled city at the very center of Jerusalem that is its heart. Within its walls lives one of the most diverse communities in the world. Muslims, Christians, and Jews live packed together in an area of less than a square mile. 4 groups have their own quarter. The Christians, the Jews, the Muslims, and the Armenians. Each have their own shops and markets established over the centuries. But it is impossible for any of them to live totally in isolation. And in Jerusalem, it is also impossible to escape from the city's history, from its long and often violent past.
If you just open any asphalt road, we are already on the earlier, let's say, Ottoman Turkish days. And a few feet below, you reach into older Mamluk, Crusader, Byzantine, Roman, Second Emperor period, First Emperor period. In some places, the accumulation is very thick, might reach to 20 and even 30 meters.
Ronnie Reich is an Israeli archaeologist. He is working at the foot of the Western Wall. For him, Jerusalem's past can be as vivid as its present.
We know that below this pile of huge stones lies a street, a paved street. Now our aim is to uncover one long path of that street. The street is very wide. Its building was done during Herod's time. That means in the 1st century BCE.
King Herod was a successful, if ruthless, ruler, but he made his capital, Jerusalem, into one of the greatest cities of the era. His most splendid achievement was the Second Jewish Temple. On the pinnacle of the Holy Mountain, he created a vast edifice of dazzling white stone with a facade plated in gold. In the year 66, the Jews rebelled against Roman rule. 4 years later, Roman legions sacked Jerusalem and leveled the temple. The city's first great historian, Josephus, wrote,
"Around the altar, a pile of corpses was accumulating. Down the steps of the sanctuary flowed a stream of blood. The victors slaughtered all who were caught. The slaughter made the whole city run with blood."
Jerusalem was utterly destroyed, and less than 70 years later, the Jews were banished from this, their most holy city. It was a defining moment, one that shaped the identity of the Jewish people ever after. As they scattered across Europe and the Middle East in exile, they never allowed the memory of Jerusalem and its place at the center of their life to die.
Jerusalem is at the core of Jewish prayer. When Jews pray, we face Jerusalem. We face Israel from outside of Israel, Jerusalem from inside Israel, the Temple Mount from inside Jerusalem. In our prayers, we talk constantly about rebuilding Jerusalem.
As he digs, Ronnie Reich is still uncovering remnants of the Jewish people's great loss.
You see, it's a small, very small bottle, and this was simply trapped here in between the stones when they collapsed here during the Roman destruction.
Directly above Ronnie's dig lies a set of steps. Less than 40 years before the destruction of Jerusalem, a figure had walked up these steps towards the Temple Mount. He had come as a pilgrim to celebrate the Jewish feast of Passover. His name was Yeshua, or Jesus. On Palm Sunday, the faithful gather to commemorate Christ's entry into Jerusalem. It is the beginning of the holiest week in the Christian calendar.
They have been through their church services, through their reading of the Bible, through the preacher's homilies, etc. And now all those things will now come alive for them in a very, very emotional and spiritual manner.
One of Father Peter's duties is to water the trees in the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus is said to have spent the night before his crucifixion.
To be in this garden of Gethsemane, where these very ancient trees lie, to garden around them, to realize that Jesus was there. He speaks of an experience, a spiritual experience that I cannot really expound on, but it gives me an inner sense of his spirit, an inner sense of what he suffered.